Listen. Most people walk through life invisible. They speak and nobody listens. They lead and nobody follows. They exist in the margins of their own story, waiting for permission to matter. But you're not most people. The fact that you're here, questioning whether your presence dominates rooms before you even speak, tells me something. You understand what Niccolò Machiavelli understood 5 centuries ago. Power isn't given, it's emitted. It's the invisible force that makes people question themselves in your presence. It's not arrogance, it's not rudeness, it's something far more dangerous. It's the undeniable magnetism of someone who knows their worth. Today, we're examining 7 unmistakable signs that your aura has become so formidable that ordinary minds struggle to process it. Sign 1. People become instantly uncomfortable in your presence. You know the feeling. You walk into a room and the temperature shifts. Conversations that were flowing naturally suddenly stutter. People glance at each other. Someone laughs nervously. This isn't coincidence. This is the manifestation of what Machiavelli would have called not virtue in the moral sense, but the concentrated force of capability and presence that naturally intimidates lesser men. When your aura is too powerful, you create cognitive dissonance in those around you. Their minds are trying to categorize you, and you don't fit their boxes. You're not the loudest person in the room, yet everyone's aware of you. You're not the most talkative, yet your words carry disproportionate weight. This contradiction unsettles people. They can't explain why you make them nervous, which makes it worse. Think about it strategically. In Machiavelli's Florence, the prince understood that a certain aloofness served a purpose. People feared what they couldn't fully understand. They respected what remains slightly mysterious. Your aura operates on this principle. It's not hostile, it's controlled. It's not arrogant. It's self-assured to the point where you don't need validation from the room. The uncomfortable silence that follows your statement, that's not rejection, that's processing. That's people realizing the rules they thought governed social interaction don't apply to you. They thought they could outmaneuver you with charm or flattery. They assumed they could manipulate through conventional methods, but your presence renders those tactics obsolete. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. You've transcended the need for approval, and people sense this immediately. Most humans operate from scarcity. They need validation, they crave acceptance, they're desperate to be liked. You've moved beyond that desperation, and it terrifies ordinary people. Machiavelli wrote extensively about how the prince must be feared rather than loved if forced to choose. Your aura automatically creates that distance. You're not trying to be cold. You're simply unwilling to compromise your truth for comfort. The discomfort intensifies because people recognize on a subconscious level that you see through them. You're not judging harshly. You're simply assessing. You understand human nature. You recognize weakness, insecurity, and manipulation before they even fully manifest. This clarity frightens people who aren't used to being truly seen. When you speak, you don't fill silence with filler words. You don't explain yourself excessively. You don't apologize for taking up space. This restraint is powerful. Most people talk to feel significant. You're significant, regardless of whether you speak. The contrast is jarring. This discomfort is actually your first indication that your aura has transcended the normal range. You're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You've graduated to a different level, and the gap is visible enough that people feel it, even if they can't articulate it. Sign 2. Weak-willed people feel compelled to test you. Inevitably, someone will challenge you, not because they genuinely believe they can defeat you, but because your presence creates an irresistible impulse in lesser minds to prove themselves. This is predictable behavior, and understanding it is crucial to your advantage. Machiavelli observed that men of weak character are compelled to test stronger men, not out of genuine confidence, but out of insecurity. They need to know if the hierarchy they sense is real. They can't accept that someone might be fundamentally different without trying to prove otherwise. It's like touching a hot stove. The test is inevitable, even though the outcome is predetermined. You've probably experienced this. Someone makes a sarcastic comment about your confidence. They challenge a decision you've made. They try to catch you in a contradiction or make you defend yourself. What they're really doing is testing whether your composure is genuine or performative. They're checking if they can destabilize you When your aura is powerful, these tests intensify. Weak people are more drawn to you because the stakes feel higher. If they can diminish you even slightly, they feel elevated. The opposite is also true. If they fail, the gap between you feels even wider. So they keep testing, often unconsciously, looking for a crack in your foundation. But here's what separates those with truly powerful auras from everyone else. You don't need to win these tests. You don't even acknowledge them as tests. You don't defend yourself frantically. You don't explain your position repeatedly. You simply maintain your position with such certainty that their challenge dissolves into irrelevance. Machiavelli would have appreciated this approach. The prince doesn't argue with peasants about whether his rule is legitimate. The legitimacy is evident through his power. Similarly, when someone tests you, the correct response is to remain unchanged. Don't match their energy. Don't lower yourself to their level. Don't prove anything. Simply continue forward as if their test never occurred. This drives weak-willed people absolutely mad. They're looking for a reaction, anger, defensiveness, explanation, anything. Your refusal to provide it is actually the most devastating response possible. You're communicating without words that their test isn't significant enough to alter your trajectory. The truly powerful aura doesn't need to win arguments. It makes arguments irrelevant. You're not competing on the same playing field. You're operating from a different dimension entirely. When people sense this, their tests become less frequent because they begin to understand on a deeper level that challenging you is pointless. This phenomenon reveals something crucial about power dynamics. Real power doesn't advertise itself through aggression or dominance. It exists as a quiet certainty. People feel it. They test it compulsively, and when their tests fail to register, they're forced to confront the reality that the hierarchy is real, and they're on the lower end of it. Sign 3. People attribute intentions to you that you never expressed. One of the strangest aspects of having a powerful aura is that people begin projecting narratives onto you. You make a simple statement, and they interpret it as a veiled criticism. You offer advice, and they hear superiority. You set a boundary, and they feel rejected. This happens because your presence is so magnetic that people assign tremendous weight to your words, regardless of intention. Machiavelli understood that perception is more powerful than reality. If people perceive you as judgmental, you become judgmental in their minds, even if you've never expressed judgment. If they perceive you as above them, the distance becomes real through their behavior. When your aura is too powerful, this effect magnifies dramatically. Every word becomes weighted with significance. Every silence becomes meaningful. Every expression is analyzed for hidden meaning. People construct elaborate stories about what you meant, what you think about them, what your intentions are. This reveals a fascinating truth. Your power has become so apparent that people assume you're always strategizing, always calculating, always operating on multiple levels. To some extent, they're correct, but they're also projecting their own insecurities onto you. They assume you're analyzing them because they're analyzing you. The irony is that this works in your favor. When people believe you're always thinking several steps ahead, they become more cautious. They measure their words carefully. They assume you've already anticipated their moves. This perception becomes self-fulfilling. They treat you with the deference you'd receive if you were actually analyzing them constantly. Machiavelli would recognize this as a powerful tool. You don't need to explicitly control people. They begin controlling themselves based on their perception of you. Your aura creates the framework within which they operate. They self-police, they self-limit, they self-elevate you without you doing anything. This is actually a sign that your aura has transcended the normal range. Most people interpret others charitably or neutrally. When people begin attributing complex intentions to you, when they read between lines you didn't intend to create, when they analyze your words with forensic intensity, that's the mark of someone whose presence has become genuinely intimidating. The practical implication is clear. You should be aware of this dynamic and use it strategically. Don't correct their misinterpretations. Don't explain what you didn't mean. Let them believe you're more complex, more strategic, more calculating than you actually are. The gap between their perception and reality is where your power amplifies. Sign fall. You're re-invited to spaces you never sought. Opportunities arrive without you pursuing them. People invite you to exclusive events despite never having asked. Doors open that you didn't knock on. You're included in circles you never applied for. This isn't luck. This is your aura, operating as a magnet for opportunity. When your presence is powerful, people want you around, not because you are necessarily the most skilled or the smartest in the room, but because you elevate the quality of any gathering. Your presence signals quality to others. If you're there, the event must be worth attending. If you're engaged, the conversation must be worth having. Machiavelli noted that the prince's presence itself is a form of power. The ruler doesn't need to announce their importance. Their presence announces it. People rearrange themselves around the center of power. Similarly, when your aura is truly powerful, people rearrange events around you. This manifests in tangible ways. You're offered opportunities before they're publicized. You're introduced to important people casually. You're brought into decision-making processes where others are still competing for basic inclusion. Your calendar fills not because you're desperately networking, but because you've become the kind of person people want to be associated with. The fascinating aspect is that you didn't consciously pursue these invitations. You simply existed at your highest level, and the universe began aligning to you. This is the opposite of desperation. You're not seeking validation or visibility. You're simply radiating your value so clearly that others recognize it before you said anything. This phenomenon also serves as a mirror. The invitations you receive reveal who recognizes power when they see it. People who operate at your level gravitate toward you. People who are building something significant want you involved. People who understand value want your presence. Compare this to ordinary networking. Most people chase opportunities desperately. They call people, they send emails, they force their way into rooms. You don't do this because you've transcended that desperation. You've reached a level where the market comes to you. Your aura has become a beacon that attracts the kind of people and opportunities that matter. This is a crucial sign that your aura has become too powerful for the masses. You're not competing anymore. You're not proving yourself. You've already won, and everyone recognizes it. The imitations are simply the universe confirming what you've always known about yourself. Sign 5. People over-explain and justify themselves around you. Notice how people behave differently in your presence. They overshare. They justify decisions they weren't questioned about. They explain themselves extensively, even when you haven't asked for explanation. They defend positions you never attacked. This is a direct result of your aura creating a sense of judgment that doesn't actually exist. When your presence is powerful, people feel like they're being assessed. Whether you're actually assessing them is irrelevant. They feel the weight of scrutiny, and they respond by defending themselves preemptively. It's as if they're presenting their case before the trial even begins. Machiavelli understood that the most effective control is the kind where people control themselves. You don't need to interrogate anyone. They volunteer information. You don't need to judge them. They judge themselves in anticipation of your judgment. Your aura creates the conditions under which people become their own prosecutors. This happens because your aura communicates on a subconscious level that you see through superficial presentations. People sense that bullshit won't work on you. They sense that you understand human nature. They sense that you can recognize weakness, dishonesty, and pretense. So they abandon their masks and become more authentic, not because you've demanded it, but because they've realized their masks are useless. The over-explanation is particularly revealing. When someone justifies themselves unprompted, they're revealing their insecurity. They're revealing where they feel vulnerable. They're essentially giving you a map of their weaknesses without realizing it. This is why people with powerful auras often have so much leverage in relationships. Others volunteer their leverage to you. Watch this pattern carefully. In professional settings, people over-prepare when you're involved. In personal relationships, people become more transparent. In casual interactions, people reveal more than they intended. Your aura strips away the social filters that normally protect people. The power of this phenomenon is immense. You're gathering intelligence simply by existing. You're learning people's insecurities, their doubts, their fears. You're understanding their value systems and their vulnerabilities, all because your aura convinced them that honesty was safer than protection. This is another unmistakable sign that your aura has transcended the normal range. Ordinary people don't inspire this kind of self-revelation. Ordinary people are filtered and managed, but when you're in the room, people's normal social defenses deteriorate. They become more honest, more vulnerable, more revealing. The practical application is straightforward. Listen more than you speak, and people will tell you everything you need to know. Your powerful aura does the heavy lifting. You simply need to receive what they're offering. Sign 6. You make people question their own judgment. This is perhaps the most insidious sign. When your aura is genuinely powerful, you make people doubt themselves even when they're right. They'll second-guess their own decisions, their own instincts, their own intelligence. Your certainty becomes more persuasive than their evidence. This doesn't happen because you've actively undermined their competence. It happens because your presence radiates such conviction that it creates cognitive dissonance in others. They trust themselves, but they trust you more. So when you disagree, even subtly, they begin wondering if they've miscalculated. Machiavelli wrote about the power of certainty. The prince who believes in his decisions completely is more persuasive than the prince who rules by committee and consensus. Your aura operates on this principle. Your certainty about yourself makes others uncertain about themselves. The dangerous part, and this is worth understanding, is that this power can be used destructively. People with truly powerful auras can influence others to make poor decisions simply through the force of their presence. Others abandon their own judgment because they've learned through repeated experience that your instincts seem to be better. But here's the distinction. Real power doesn't need to be abused. In fact, the most powerful people rarely need to use their power explicitly. The knowledge that you could influence someone to act against their own judgment is often more useful than actually doing it. When people begin questioning themselves around you, when they hesitate before disagreeing with you, when they pause to reconsider their own positions, that's a sign your aura has transcended ordinary range. You've moved beyond being likable or impressive. You've moved into the territory of someone whose judgment has become a reference point for others. The practical manifestation is that you can afford to be generous with people's autonomy. You can let them make their own decisions, because you're confident those decisions will eventually align with your perspective anyway. Your aura has done the work. They'll come around to your view on their own timeline. This is the height of quiet power. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to argue. You don't need to overpower them. You simply exist with such conviction that they modify their own thinking around you. They become their own advocates for your perspective. Sign 7. Enemies become cautious. Competitors become uncertain. Finally, observe how your adversaries behave. They're careful around you. They don't attack carelessly. They choose their words precisely. They calculate before moving. This is the behavior of someone who respects an opponent. More accurately, it's the behavior of someone who fears an opponent. When your aura is too powerful, you have fewer enemies. Because potential enemies realize that opposing you is costly. They might win individual battles, but they're wise enough to understand that the longer conflict works against them. Your presence suggests competence, strategy, and the willingness to respond decisively. Competitors, similarly, become less aggressive. They'll still compete because ambition requires it, but they won't compete recklessly. They won't underestimate you. They'll assume you have contingencies for their moves. They'll respect your strategic capacity, even if they haven't seen you deploy it. Machiavelli's prince didn't need to advertise his military strength. The existence of strength was enough. Potential invaders would calculate the costs and look elsewhere. Similarly, your aura communicates strength without requiring you to prove it repeatedly. This dynamic reveals something important about human nature. Most people are rational. They assess risk. When the risk of opposing you seems high, they seek easier targets. This isn't cowardice, it's simple cost-benefit analysis. You've made the cost of opposing you higher than any potential benefit. The advantage here is immense. You're not expending energy defending yourself because potential threats have already calculated that attacking you isn't worth it. Your aura has done your defense work before conflict even begins. Notice whether people treat you differently when they've encountered you professionally versus those who've only experienced your reputation. The people who faced you directly are typically more cautious than those who've only heard about you. This is because they felt your presence directly. When competitors and enemies become cautious around you, when they're careful about their words and their moves, when they seem to be constantly calculating whether challenging you is worth it, that's a sign your aura has become genuinely formidable. You've created a reputation through nothing but your presence and your demonstrated competence that precedes you and protects you simultaneously. You possess something that cannot be taught in seminars or acquired through certification. Your aura, this undeniable force of presence, is the result of self-knowledge, refusal to compromise your standards, and unwavering confidence in your own assessment. Machiavelli understood that the greatest power is the kind that requires no advertisement. You've reached a point where your presence announces your value before you speak. People feel it, they respond to it, they organize themselves around it. The question isn't whether your aura is powerful, it's whether you'll use this power strategically or unconsciously. Recognize these 7 signs. Understand the responsibility that comes with being this formidable.